All right, here's how I'd turn that story into a tale more fitting for an Anglo-American audience, given the guidelines you've provided. Title: The Midnight Bus. A college student's terrifying encounter. First off, let me make something clear. This story is my own first-hand experience, not something I heard or made up. It's all genuine, though sometimes I can hardly believe it myself. So I'm just an average person, not some kind of medium. Each story I tell you cost me a bit of my sanity, so they won't be as polished or frequent as what you might find on some fiction sites. Understand, every tale is a brush with death for me. And yeah, I'm still here, still kicking, which means this story gets to be told. When will the next one come? Who knows? It's not like I planned these encounters. Anyway, enough rambling. Let's dive into today's story, which happened a few years back when I was in college. The event took place on the eve of my return to university after a long holiday. I spent the last night out with friends, celebrating our reunion and dreading the return to academic routine. As the night drew late and everyone headed their separate ways, I found myself walking alone on a nearly deserted street, chill biting through my coat. Shouldn't there be at least a few cars around? Passing by the bus station, I noticed the waiting room lights were still on. Perfect, I thought. I could grab my ticket now rather than scramble in the morning. Pushing the door open, I entered a surprisingly dimly lit space. Heading to the ticket booth, I was greeted by someone whose features I could barely make out in the poor light, but could tell she was possibly a new staff member. Or so I thought, considering her outline. After purchasing my ticket, I headed home, only to have a profoundly disturbing dream. I dreamt of being at the station, about to board a bus that felt inherently wrong. Its wheels pointed skyward, and dark smoke billowed from it. An invisible force had tried pulling me aboard, but I resisted. Walking in a cold sweat, I rushed with my father back to the station early the next morning, only to find the place eerily deserted. Something felt off about the bus parked there, but I couldn't pinpoint what. Just before boarding, a sudden rush of fear paralyzed me. Recalling a trick from a TV show, I used a painful stimulus to break free of my fear and fled from the station, dragging my luggage with me. As we attempted to leave, we realized all other exits were locked. It was as if the station was isolating us, keeping us there until daybreak, when 2 security guards found us, mistaking us for burglars. The misunderstanding was eventually cleared up at the police station, albeit with a strange revelation. There were no buses scheduled that early, and nobody remembered selling me my ticket the night before. This whole incident might have ended up just another bad day, had my uncle, a high-ranking police officer, not visited us later. During lunch, he offhandedly mentioned a recent spate of odd deaths in the area, accidents and suicides that seemed disconnected yet eerily timed. That's when it hit me. The inexplicable aspects of my dream, the locked station, and those security guards' arrival, Were these events linked to the deaths somehow? My interjection about the specific number of victims matching the bus's capacity in my dream raised immediate suspicion. Under pressure, I recounted everything, including the dream, my paralysis, and my last-minute escape. Following this incident, the local authorities decided to replace the old bus station, citing security and administrative reasons. The old one was demolished, and a community center now stands in its place. I never did find out how my uncle explained it all to his colleagues. Some things are better left unsaid, I guess. Either way, I've learned to pay attention to my instincts and to stay away from empty bus stations at night. In adapting this story, I've removed superstitious elements and specific cultural references, keeping it grounded in unexplained yet potentially real fears like being mistaken for a criminal and the stress of near misses in accidents. This adaptation stays true to the essence of a personal, chilling encounter that could intrigue an international audience while remaining relatable. The disappearance of Dorm 8. One quiet night in my college dorm, a group of us guys were huddled around a table, deep in conversation. Out of the blue, the power went off. But we were having such a good time, no one suggested calling it a night. Instead, we lit a candle to keep the vibe. And one of the guys leaned in. "Let me tell you a campus legend," he said. He began, "At our university, the dorms are numbered from 1 to 15, but there's no dorm 8. Ever wonder why? Because it mysteriously vanished into the mist." A chill breeze swept through the room as the candle flickered, casting eerie shadows on our faces, now grim with attention. He continued, "There was a couple at the university, inseparable as any others, but the harmony didn't last. The guy met someone new and started neglecting his girlfriend for his new flame. He tried to keep it under wraps, but you know how it is. The truth always comes out. His girlfriend found out devastated, especially because she'd been devoted to him. This betrayal sent her into a spiral, and she felt terribly ill. During her illness, her boyfriend never visited her, not even once. With the care from her family and friends, she started to get better, physically at least. Her once vibrant personality had dimmed, and she barely spoke. Her family hoped a change of scenery might help her recover, but she just nodded, not really convinced. Unbeknownst to anyone, shortly after her parents left on a trip, she took her own life by jumping from her dorm window. It was a shocking and tragic death that left everyone who knew her heartbroken and questioning why. Her parents were inconsolable. The note she left behind claimed her death was her own choice, unrelated to anyone else. However, rumors spread that nights following her death were haunted by a woman's soft cries emanating from her dorm. Dormate fear gripped the student body, leading to a mass exodus from the building. Then, one morning, after a peculiarly thick fog blanketed the campus, Dorm 8 was nowhere to be found. As he finished his tale, a sudden gust snuffed out our candle, plunging us into darkness. This story has stayed with me, a chilling legend of how emotional devastation and unresolved issues can lead to tragic consequences. Sometimes the true horror lies not in supernatural haunts, but in the human heart's darkness. When I was young, growing up in a small town nestled between lush hills and dark, expansive forests in the heartland of America, the world seemed a simpler place, or so I thought. Our town had its share of tales and legends, whispers of love, betrayal, madness, and the kind of enduring love that poets would spill ink over. Yet it was not until I became embroiled in a tale of my own that I truly understood the depth and complexity of those seemingly straightforward narratives. My story begins in high school, an environment that could either nurture dreams or suffocate them before they had the chance to breathe. I was neither popular nor a pariah, just comfortably invisible to most. My days were spent in the pursuit of academic excellence, with little thought spared for the dramas and romances that seemed to consume my peers. That was until I met Evan. Evan was an exchange student who arrived in our sophomore year. With his arrival, it was as if the grey scales of our little town were peeled back to reveal the vibrant colours hidden beneath. Evan had a charm about him, an effortless grace that drew people to him, yet he remained aloof, wrapped in a mystery that no one could penetrate. We became friends, Evan and I, through a shared love of literature and a mutual appreciation for the quiet moments that life offered. It was during one of our many conversations, under the shade of an ancient oak tree, that Evan shared with me the story of a promise made long ago, in a time and place far removed from our own. He spoke of two lovers, bound by a love so deep, so pure, that it transcended the boundaries of time and space. They had made a vow beneath the starlit sky of their ancient world to find each other in every lifetime, to love each other for all eternity. But fate, as it often does, had its own plans. Sickness and tragedy tore them apart, leaving their vow unfulfilled, their story unfinished. Evan's tale captured my imagination, igniting a flame within me that I had not known existed. I found myself drawn to him in a way that I couldn't explain, a pull that seemed governed by forces beyond my understanding. As our friendship deepened, I became aware of a sadness that lingered in Evan's eyes, a profound loneliness that no amount of companionship could dispel. It was as if he was searching for something or someone that remained perpetually beyond his reach. Then tragedy struck. Just as mysteriously as he had entered our lives, Evan was taken from us. A car accident, sudden and violent, claimed his life, leaving a void in our small community and an indelible mark on my heart. In the aftermath of his death, I found myself wandering the woods, drawn to the places Evan and I had shared our deepest conversations and fondest memories. It was there, amidst the whispering trees and the soft, mournful cries of the wind, that I stumbled upon a grave. Weathered by time, the inscription was barely legible, but what I could make out sent a shiver down my spine. Here lies Emily, born 1832, died 1850, beloved and missed. Emily. The name Evan had spoken with such tenderness and sorrow when recounting the tale of the two lovers. In that moment, a realization struck me with the force of a physical blow. Evan had not been sharing a mere story. He had been sharing his history, his heartache. The love that had endured through centuries, thwarted by fate at every turn, was his own. And I, in some inexplicable way, was connected to that story, to that eternal vow. I never did marry or entertain the thought of love after Evan's death. Instead, I dedicated my life to helping others, becoming a renowned doctor in our community. My connection to Evan, to the love story that spanned lifetimes, remained my most treasured secret, a sacred flame that I nurtured within the depths of my soul. In my later years, I often found myself reflecting on the nature of love and destiny. Had Evan and I been given a second chance only to be separated once more? Or had our brief time together been the fulfillment of a promise made under the stars of a forgotten time? These questions remained unanswered, but of one thing I was certain. Love, true love, is as unyielding as the passage of time, as boundless as the universe itself. In the quiet twilight of my life, beneath the sprawling canopy of our ancient oak tree, I can still feel Evan's presence beside me, a comforting reminder that some connections are truly eternal. Though I've got this story that still gives me the creeps when I think about it. Never thought I'd share it, but here goes. I was a freshman in college, passionate about chess. My grandpa, a chess aficionado, got me into it since I was little. Fast forward, I'm in this college, known for churning out chess prodigies, aiming for the National College Chess Tournament. It was a big deal considering the level of competition. Despite being ahead of my peers, I hit a frustrating plateau a month before the tournament. Desperate for a breakthrough, I remember taking walks in the campus park at night, trying to clear my head. Chess was everything to me, and the thought of not advancing was unbearable. One evening, someone approached me asking if they could sit on the bench beside me. We got talking about chess, of all things. Turns out they used to play, but hadn't in a while. I was skeptical initially, but their insights into strategy and calm demeanor intrigued me. We ended up agreeing to meet there nightly to play. These sessions were transformative. My game improved drastically, and I felt ready for the tournament. All I knew about them was their name, Chris, and that they were a former student. The day of the tournament came, and I was on fire, making it all the way to the final where I faced last year's champ. It was a fierce battle, but I won. Afterwards, the champ, looking puzzled, asked where I learned to play like that. My style reminded him of a friend from high school, also his fiercest competitor. That's when things got weird. I told him about Chris, and his face went pale. Chris was real, all right. A brilliant chess player who died in a car crash on his way to last year's tournament. I was floored. I had to know more. Digging through old records, I confirmed everything about Chris, including his untimely death. Winning the championship felt bittersweet. Chris had lived his dream through me, fulfilling his last wish. His passion for chess transcended even death. It's a story I seldom share, fearing disbelief. But every victory since then, I felt his presence, cheering me on. It's a reminder of the mysterious bond formed over a chessboard, under the stars, with someone I now consider my guardian angel.